Cheers. Made myself a little mojito here for the end of the weekend. Real quick and dirty video here. Kind of just want to do a summary of the whole Truman saga. Now that I'm basically got my money back. I guess I wouldn't say officially because it's still pending, but after the 3 emails kind of appealing to the rejected refund request because they're defective, the third time, third time's a charm. I don't know if I made it through their AI, whatever initial nonsense, though. I think those emails may have not been dealing with AI once I got the first 2 responses, but you saw my little short, they did agree to do a refund. So it's frustrating that, they go through that process where they kind of gave excuses initially saying, this is a new pattern. They should clarify if they're changing patterns, first of all, but it wasn't that it was a new pattern. If you look at the stuff on their site, the work builds, which are on the work last, they look basically the same as the old 20 last builds, not like what I got. So that boot was clearly defective, and it's just disappointing that they kind of, made me frustrated, and, I was starting to think, well, I'm at the, I'd throw these boots away because they're like literally unwearable, or sell them for like $100 or something to someone who's willing to take a chance. But like they literally didn't work. I couldn't lace. I tried lacing them up, and it was like the quarters, the sides of the quarters couldn't even come around the tongue enough, and it was just digging into my ankle so much. And visually, you could clearly tell. I mean, these were like totally screwed up. So those were defective boots, and they did in the end, come clean and let me refund them. But what an awful customer service experience. And then they send me the label after the 3rd appeal or whatever, and which is good because initially it was going to be I had to ship them back on my own dime, and the best thing I could get was store credit towards another boot. And it's like, I don't even really want to buy any more of your boots after this situation, especially not a pre-order. So if I buy an in stock, then I'm going to still have a balance left of credit to have to get a second boot. So like replace that with 2 boots and then spend more with you guys. It's like, this is BS. So they did give me the label, shipped them back, watched the tracking. They got delivered, signed for by Truman, whoever picked them up at the location they have, the address. So I had to pull out my phone and kind of double check the dates to remember this exactly. But they agreed on like I said, the 3rd time to do a refund and give me a return label. And this was in the morning of June 3rd. I shipped them back. I dropped them off at the post office the afternoon of the 3rd. They were delivered to the address that Truman gives you on the morning of the 5th of June 5th. And then I don't get an email from them saying that they've received it until the 17th. So the 5th was when they were delivered, and they didn't even email me that they had received them until the 17th. 12 days. I have to look at the calendar, how many business days that is. And then the email says that the refund can take up to 14 business days. So that was the 17th. And as of today is what, the 29th. So as of June 29th, the money is still not in my account. It took a few days after that email on the 17th to even see a refund initiated. I paid with PayPal. And it's weird because when I've done other returns, I think I did it for Nix a few times. Every time I bought from Nix, I used PayPal. And like the return's like immediate. You get the refund like the same day they initiate it. So it's not a PayPal thing. And other merchants, the same thing. With PayPal, it shows immediately. It took them multiple days from when they emailed me that that they got my return and it was going to be refunded, for it to even show up in PayPal as pending. And then it didn't show up refunding back to my credit card that is what pays, purchases through PayPal, until I think the 27th, I think, is when it was showing pending. And we're on the 29th and it still hasn't cleared. So I'm thinking that tomorrow, the June 30th, it will clear and I'll have the money, applied back to my credit card. And it's just wild to think, I ordered those on like June 20th, sorry, January 20th, and the pre-order closed on January 21st, the next day. And I'm finally getting my refund at the end of June, or maybe early July. And all the hassles of, going back and forth and trying to figure out when they're going to get the boot shipped, because they completely missed their, I guess they didn't guarantee it, but they're promised, like their email was like, they'll be shipped on or before April 15th. And, mine didn't get shipped to me until, I'm trying to remember what it was. I did a video, but it was definitely May. It's just a terrible experience. So, would I buy from Truman again? I don't know. Would I ever do a pre-order from Truman? Hell no. So anything that has to take time with them, that's not immediately in stock, I would never buy from Truman again. This experience was just god awful. But I guess, what I'm thinking about the most is my favorite last from them was kind of the 20. And I mentioned the 56 kind of fit me better, but then I wonder about the work last. Oddly enough, the box for those bull elks that were ordered as a 20 said work last on them. I thought that was peculiar. And they were the same size as my other 11 or 11 and a half, was the side D, was the 20 last boots I had before. And other than the heel being kind of feeling low as far as like the cup, that's why I was saying it was lasted down too hard. It's like the heel cup felt too low, like it was kind of hitting the top of my heel, and then the shafts were all bent backwards and screwed up. I would say the toe box seemingly felt similar to my other 11.5D 20 last. So that doesn't seem like it was an 11.5D work last. And it didn't look different, so I don't think it was the work last. So maybe they just can't print 20 anymore. I don't know. I feel like it was confusing that it said work last, because it took them so freaking long to get them shipped to me. They'd already rolled out the work last, and they had been doing multiple runs of work last boots, which is part of why I was so pissed off. It's like, where the hell are my bull elks if you're doing dropping a new run every week? Like, why can't you just finish the other boot? And why can't you say why? Like, we destroyed all the uppers and we're waiting for another delivery. Just be honest with the freaking customer instead of this endless, it's in production. It can't be in production for months. That doesn't make sense. I think back to Nick's when they'd give you the quality control little sheet, and like from when them starting to being done is less than 2 weeks. It's like literally, it was like 10 days or something like that of actual timestamps between them starting the boot and finishing the boot. And that includes, whatever, a day or whatever they do sitting on the last. So it's like, yeah, I don't think Truman was leaving those boots on the last for 3 months. Like, this is just nonsense bullshit. My concern now would be if I'm only willing to buy in stock, ready to go boots from them. The 20 last doesn't exist, so it's a work last now, and all the work last builds seem to be inferior, where they do the rubber midsole instead of a leather midsole. They do have some of them lug sole, and that's cool. I've never seen, I think, any of the work boots, the work last boot on the Commando. So it's like you're left with either getting a rubber midsole heavy lug, which I like the heavy lug, but it looks better, and I would think it would be a superior comfort or whatever, just a better boot with a leather midsole. But you can get the heavy lug on a rubber midsole, or you can get a Christie. I have no interest in wedges and Christie. So that means I can't ever get a work, 20 last, work last, whatever, on a Commando or a Eugene sole for that matter. Not that that's really something I was looking for. And all the work builds seemingly are the same pattern with a stupid pull tab. I don't want a pull tab on a Truman. Like realize as, my evolution of buying Nicks, I don't like the pull tab. It's functional, but it causes issues. It's just, I prefer not having it. So it kind of it eliminates anything I really want to buy with the work last, because I just don't like those builds, and I'm not seeing them yet do any non-work focused work last boots, and by them naming it the work last suggests they wouldn't. and I don't do the 79. It just doesn't fit, or sorry, the casual last, Vince is calling it now. So I'm left with the 56, and I like the 56, but I guess it doesn't excite me as much. I do really like the fit. The 11.5D 56 fits my foot very nice. But it's kind of it has a specific look with that longer, flatter look. I guess it kind of is like, visually kind of similar to the Alden True Balance builds, which I like my 2 pairs of Aldens, but I didn't buy any more than that. It's not as exciting as kind of the tougher, sprung toe look. That's kind of, always been my jam. So it's like, it don't know if there really be much left for me to buy. I think I mentioned to someone in the comments, I do kind of have an interest in a 56 in a plain toe, because I have the cap toe, just have something different with the commando sole, because I don't really love the Eugene sole. There's something wrong with it, but it's kind of meh. It's kind of boring. So the commando sole, plain toe, in a good leather 56 could, get me to bite one more time. I don't see getting multiple pairs. So I guess with what they've done and their new model, whatever Vince is trying to do, he's kind of eliminated me as a customer, mainly because of this shit show experience and such an awful customer experience. I just don't have any confidence in them. At least with the in-stock buys, per their own policy, you can return those if they're unworn for a refund. I think I'd have to still pay shipping back to them, because it's like even though if I bought a boot and it was shitty, like, quality control problems, defective, whatever, like that pair I got, I would have to tell them that, and I'm sure it would be the same fight back of, nope, it's fine, we don't let, they're going to probably claim they don't let anything bad out of the door. And if it was not meeting their standards, I could imagine them saying that they would have marketed it as a seconds boot or something like that. So it'd be basically me saying, well, I don't want them, I want a refund, so they're going to say you have to pay to ship them back. So considering that, it's like, it would be uneasy, but at least I know I'm just going to be out shipping if they send me another dud boot. But yeah, what a poor way this evolved, because I said in the comments to a few of you guys, I was like going hardcore Truman fanboy and talking with Jimmy about this on Black Barn Social Club. He was feeling the same way, like, these are freaking a hell of a deal when you get them with those loyalty discounts for like $400 or less. This is a hell of a boot for $400, but knowing that the god-awful, atrocious customer service experience of basically having to argue with them when you show them photo proof and video proof that they're defective, and trying them on and knowing they're defective from how they fit compared to all the other Truman boots and the supposed saying last. So it's not like I'm unqualified for it. Like, I literally own multiple pairs in this size, and these look completely different and fit completely wrong and screwed up in the heel, and I can't lace them up correctly, and they're just garbage. Knowing that they fight you on that to basically want you to keep a piece of shit that they let out of their factory after delaying it more than a month, it's like, what the hell, guys? I'll rather just spend more and buy Viberg, or shit, I might buy another Alden, honestly, because at least, the quality control issues I've had with them are just cosmetic things. I've never bought an Alden before that didn't fucking fit, like it didn't work, as far as the lasting mistake. So yeah, I guess if Vince is trying to alienate and lose customers, then I guess he's freaking right on track. But it's kind of wild. Hopefully the work boots aren't the future, because Jimmy had that pair that had quality control issues, and I think I saw someone post something about they're doing a run for another brand or something, so they're doing white label runs, or maybe he's coming up with another brand. I remember he had some posts about this, about a factory in Texas that he was spinning up. It's just strange, and I swear he's would probably lump me into this customer who like gets mad about the Rambler leathers and looking inconsistent, but it's like, bro, you literally let a dog shit boot out of your factory because your quality control people are inept. Like, visually, it's fucking obvious from 10 feet away that boot was defective. It's crazy. I even saw someone shared in the comments, I think, or I don't know. I saw somewhere someone was saying that he was even trying to defend the rocking of the boot, which I don't know. I showed that in that video, but that wasn't the issue. The issue was how fucked up the lasting was on the heel and how it was torqued so much down. It's like they pulled the back in so hard that it twisted the boot backwards and made the heel too small and made the shaft too small. And the pattern maybe is just shit. But he was defending the rocking and saying that, oh, once you take it out the last, then it settles. It settles to have no balance. I'm like, that never happens out of the other P&W brands. I've never had a Nix or a Whites or even that one pair of Franks that don't rock like that. It's just wrong. Even pieces of shit from Thursday probably don't even do that. They put on the freaking ski slope, Rose Anvil heel on them, but they probably don't rock. It's a real shame. I don't know what Vince is trying to do, but I guess he's trying to lose a customer. So you saw my little short. That was kind of a little bit of a stab at them. I saw Parker's drop that 645 thanks to one of you guys commenting. I do appreciate it. I think it was Dig Doze Hall was the gentleman's name. I saw that on one of you guys had shared the samples from like a Reddit post or whatever months ago, and I was like, damn, I really hope Andrew brings that to market. He did. Awesome. Ordered a pair. Hopefully it fits right. His sizing guidance was a little weird where he was saying it's based off more on Brannock, which makes me think he's saying these other lasts aren't. But he also says the size is the same as your size of 602M. I had tried a 602M and 11.5D and it was super long and big because that's what my True Balance size is, but it was way bigger than the True Balance in 11.5D. So I ended up with 602M and 11D, and it was the better fit of those two. I'm hoping this being a bigger toe, wider toe box, less pointy, the same size should work, and that's what he says. So hopefully his sizing guidance is correct. I just was weary about, if you read that little screenshot, it's saying something about, it's based off the Brannock. Because it's like, well, then should I have gotten my Brannock? Well, if it's based off the Brannock, why are you telling people to size half down for Brannock? That got me a little nervous, but hopefully it's good. And then, worst case, I exchange it or sell it or something. I don't know. It seems like they've sold out of all the size of the mahogany pair that I liked, that I bought. But so maybe Parker's will get some of my, what was going to possibly be Truman purchases, because I was kind of going down that path. I just, I guess Andrew could thank Vince for alienating customers, and then maybe they'll go over there, especially now that they have a cool last. That 645 last looks very promising. Anyway, that's kind of it for this Sunday. Cheers, guys.